This year Halloween fell on a weekend. Me and Ghetto Boys are trick-or-treating.
What's good, people? Welcome to the Uptown Horror Review Show. It is time for the monthly wrap-up. So I'm going to be ranking all of the books that I've read in the month of November 2020. I hope you like this video. I hope you leave a comment. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my motherfucking channel. Now, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So at the very bottom of the list, we have number 9, Death Troopers by Joe Schreiber. So this is a horror novel that takes place in the Star Wars universe, and we are following this prison barge that is transporting the galaxy's deadliest criminals from one planet to another, right? But some shit winds up going down, and before you know it, a zombie virus breaks out on the ship, right? So it is now up to the few remaining survivors to scramble and figure out a way to escape the ship, right? Now, all I'm gonna say is that if it wasn't for the Star Wars name being attached to this book, it would be the most boring, in my opinion, it would be the most boring, generic, deep space horror novel that you will ever read in your life, man. So for that reason, it is at the very bottom of the list, number 9, Death Troopers by Joe Schreiber. Now at number 8, we have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Now for those of you who don't know, this book was adapted into that 2018 film starring Natalie Portman. This book is pretty much about this patch of land called Area X, and it has been quarantined due to paranormal, extra-dimensional activity, right? And it is up to this group of 4 female scientists to go into Area X and figure out what the fuck is going on, right? Now, this book was interesting enough, but as is the case with most cosmic horror novels, the book does not explain shit to you, right? So by the end of it, you are just scratching your head and you have no clue what just happened, you know? But that is number 8, Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Now at number 7, we have The Lurkers by Christopher Ruffty. So this book is pretty much Off-Season by Jack Ketchum, but instead of cannibal psychos, we have these 2-foot little humanoid creatures that are just thirsty for blood, right? So we're following this group who has the misfortune of stumbling upon this town with all these little humanoid creatures in it, and we follow them as they fight and hack and claw to escape this town's clutches. And it is just vicious, man. These little creatures, they're small, but they will climb up on you. They'll fucking rip your eyes out. They will rip your tongue out. Like, these are the most vicious creatures that I've ever seen in a book, man. But I'm not even gonna lie, this shit was off the chain, man. But that is number 7, The Lurkers by Christopher Ruffty. So at number 6, we have Earthworm Gods, Select Scenes from the End of the World. So this book is an anthology that takes place in a world where one day it just started raining and it never stopped, right? So before you knew it, the whole entire globe was flooded, and we are following like various stories of people all over the world who, like, some of them have taken refuge on yachts. Some people have climbed to the highest skyscrapers and they're seeking refuge there. Some people have traveled to the highest mountaintops to try to escape the flooding, but we're just, we're hopping all over the world following all of these stories, right? Now, the anthology was good for the most part, but it gets kind of repetitive after a while. Like, I feel like there's only so many kind of stories you could tell in this situation. You get what I'm saying? But if you like anything post-apocalyptic, I think this is the book for you, man. You will thoroughly enjoy this book. But that is number 6, Earthworm Gods, Select Scenes from the End of the World. So at number 5, we have The Magpie Coffin by Wiley Young. So, everybody was fucking raving over this book, and I didn't really see what the big deal was. Like, this book is pretty much about this guy, Sam Covington, who he has this special gun where as long as it is in his possession, there is no earthly mortal gun on this earth that could do any damage to him, right? So some shit winds up going down, and he is now sent on a quest for revenge, right? So we are following him going from like he's going from town to town trying to kill all of these people one by one. But there wasn't really anything like, if you are into westerns and that's your thing, I don't see what this book has that will make it stand out from the rest. You get what I'm saying? Like, the book was entertaining and it was cool and all that, but compared to the way that people were just praising this book, I was expecting way more, and I think I'm one of the only people who feel that way. But that was number 5, The Magpie Coffin by Wiley Young. So in number 4, we have The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. So I just reviewed this book on the channel. You could go check that out if you want. So this book is pretty much following this girl Monique, who is recently homeless on the streets of New York City, and her girlfriend just disappears out the blue, right? So Monique is now on a quest to find this woman, and she goes all throughout the city. She's going all throughout the subway system in New York City trying to find her girlfriend. And she finds out that this girl is in the possession of this underground cult, right? So now it is up to Monique to figure out what this cult is all about, and hopefully she could save her girlfriend in the process, right? So yeah, like I said in the review, I'm not really into cosmic horror and whatnot, but despite that, I think, no matter what kind of fan of horror you are, I think there's something in this book for everyone, man. But that is number 4, The Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper. So at number 3, we have Sick Bastards by Matt Shaw. So this is a post-apocalyptic novel, and we are following this family who are living in this abandoned house. And they have been starving for months, and they have resorted to cannibalism, right? So any weary traveler who knocks on their doorstep looking for like shelter or food or whatever, They pull this person into the house, they strap them to the kitchen table, and they just eat them alive, right? So the book is pretty much, is like the son. Alright, there are 3 things that happen in this book over and over again, right? So number 1, the son is trying to convince the family that cannibalism is wrong. That conversation happens like a fucking 1,000 times in this book, right? Number 2, what's number 2? The son decides to leave the family. He decides to go off on his own, and he just comes right back home the next day, right? He's like, yeah, I'm not cut out for this. So that's the second thing that happens. The third thing that happens is an incestuous relationship between the brother and the sister, right? And those 3 things are the only thing that happens for like 85% of the book, and it is just those 3 things on repeat. You get what I'm saying? But there is a good twist ending at the end, which kind of makes it worth it, but is very repetitive after a while, man. But that is number 3, Sick Bastards by Matt Shaw. So at number 2, we have Bad Decisions by John Athan. So this book takes place in New York City, and we are following this taxi driver with a dark past, and one thing leads to another, and he winds up getting blackmailed by the mob, right? So they're like, yo, unless you want this dark secret of yours coming out, you gotta help us with this task, right? You are going to chauffeur our deadliest, most ruthless enforcer, and you are just gonna drive him around as he just, collects money for us, as he fucking kills people and tortures people for the mob, and you have no choice but to just go along for the ride, right? Now the book was good. It kept a high pace, and it was action packed or whatever, but it just wasn't memorable like at all. Like compared to John Athan's other books, like Spit and Die and The Law of Retaliation, this book doesn't really have anything that makes it stand out from the rest. You get what I'm saying? But it was still good, man. It was good, but it was forgettable. That's all I'm saying. But that was number 2, Bad Decisions by John Athan. So at the very number 1 spot, we got The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. So as many of you know, I've already reviewed this book on the channel a few weeks ago. And if you watched that review, you would know that I fucking loved that book, man. So the book is pretty much about this guy, Frank Cotton, who he learns that there are these beings called the Cenobites And if you could contact these beings, they will expose you to pleasure that is like beyond the threshold of human comprehension, right? So he manages a way to contact these beings, and you know, once they arrive, he sees that they're not what he thought they were, you know. So they have come, and they plan on torturing him. They're gonna take him back to their dimension, and they're just gonna torture him until the end of time, right? So the book is him trying to plot a way to escape this dimension and come back to Earth, right? But yo, this book was incredible, man. This book, hands down, this wasn't really a good reading month for me. Like, there weren't too many books that I really enjoyed this month. So this book, by far, it had to be on the top of the list. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is number one, The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. And there you have it, the November 2020 monthly wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you leave a like, I hope you leave a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my motherfucking channel. I'm out.